Hey everyone, thanks for joining me again. So I kind of going off script again. I'm not following like what it's been like from the very beginning. I'm recording my second video today because I have completed my high-dose radiation treatments. I had two scheduled, one for March 30th and then another one on April 13th, this past Monday. And I just kind of want to go through it. I will tell you that it's very similar to what the doctor talks about. It's kind of just like he said, it's a rinse and repeat. You're doing the same procedure. Everything is the same. Some aspects are a little different, and I'll talk about that. So you arrive. You're supposed to arrive by 10 o'clock. You have an MRI. You go in. There's some basic paperwork you fill out, and then you sit down. The gentleman comes and he takes you upstairs, and you go to the room, and the MRI is the machine, and it's not as daunting the second time because it's pretty simple what you're doing. You're just gonna have an MRI again. So you lay down, you put the foam earplugs in, and they have these really nice headphones, and it takes about 25 minutes. Not that bad. And then you go ahead and have it done. You get done, you get up, you don't have to change your clothes or anything, and then you just go back down to the area that you checked in at, and then you go from there. And then I went to another department or pre-op, and you're checking in, and I don't know, didn't wait very long, and then I was called. They take you back into this area with several rooms divided, and then they just instruct you to, go ahead and get undressed. You put a gown on. You're putting everything in a bag. They're asking you your name and your birth date several times. It's kind of annoying, but it's just them doing their job. And then the nurse comes in, some basic questions, again, name, birth date, they do the whole thing. And then the nurse comes in to get your IV set up. There's they get the IV in your hand, the back of your hand. I noticed it was busier this time than the first time. There were more people in the waiting room. And then after I had the nurse get my IV ready, there was alone time. Ann and I kind of just sat in this room, and it was quite a while. It was definitely not like the first time where we had the pre-op nurse kind of was always there. It was like almost she provided entertainment. I mean, she was always talking to you. This time, not so much. Lots of stuff. Lots of people having procedures. And then another nurse comes in. They did an EKG this time. They didn't do an EKG the first time. And then a nurse comes in. They do a glucose test. And then I also had blood drawn for a PSA and a testosterone. I didn't think we were doing PSA, but they did it anyway. The only reason I know is a couple days later I got a blood result test back on my file. But it just seemed like it was just a little busier. I think I don't know how else to say that. Also took a antibiotic on the second time. I didn't take an antibiotic on the first time, and I took one on the second time, so that was something a little different. And then the doctor came in. he's got a form in the middle of the form where it says, what's the purpose of the procedure? On the line, I thought it was kind of cool. He wrote, to eliminate Mr. Wagner's prostate cancer. I thought that was kind of cool. I know that's how I feel. I feel like that's what's going to happen. We just had a small talk with my doctor. There wasn't anything new to cover. We were going to do the same thing. And then the anesthesiologist, he came in, kind of does his thing, lots of questions, concerned if you've eaten or taken medication. He was a sports fan, so he kind of talked a little sports. I think he was trying to do it to like relax me. I wasn't very nervous, so I didn't feel like I really needed to be relaxed. But and then we just kind of waited until shortly after 1 o'clock, and my anesthesiologist technician who delivered me down to the area the first time, he was here the second time, and then he was training somebody, and I'm always up for training, so I was kind of glad. He was a nice guy, and just trying to teach him the ropes. And then you go through a series of hallways, and the next thing you know, you're down to the area where the room is, and there's a big sign on the door, a big radioactive sign. And then that's where we stop. And then there were a couple nurses that showed up. And then the little Asian woman who does the Geiger counter and passes it over you. And then the anesthesiologist was there. And then they wheeled me into a preparation room. And I hadn't been in there before. The first time after I had the Geiger counter passed over me, the anesthesiologist, she knocked me out right there. That's the last I ever remember. But this time, I went into this preparation area, and it looked like a room that like maybe prep work was going to get done. You're laying on a pad that has handles on it. They can slide you back and forth from the gurney you're on to the preparation table, I think. And I had mentioned to the anesthesiologist technician, I said, oh, I didn't do this the first time. He's like, oh, yeah, we did this. And I was like, no, I wasn't awake during it, I can tell you that. And then they told me to start breathing oxygen out of this plastic mask that they put on my nose and mouth. And he told me to start taking big inhales. And I started inhaling, and all of a sudden I could tell that I was breathing in more than just oxygen. Started to have a very relaxing, comforting feeling was going on. My vision started to get a little affected, I could tell. And then the anesthesiologist looked at me, he goes, Miss Wagner, he goes, I'm going to go ahead and knock you out now. And the next thing I know, I woke up in the recovery room that I started in. When I woke up, it was the anesthesia from the second procedure didn't seem as deep and I guess heavy. I was more alert. The first time I was very groggy. It was really groggy. This time, not so much. I was pretty alert. And then once you wake up, that's when the discharge procedure happens, for the lack of a better term, that's what I call it. And it was, you gotta pee. And so you have a catheter, they inject a large quantity of saline into your bladder, and then there's this plastic bottle that kind of sits on the side of the railing, has a plastic lid on it, and I remember him telling me that I have to pee in order to go home, and he wasn't even at the doorway, and I took the plastic bottle, and he must have heard me pop the cap, because he turned around and he goes, oh, are you okay? And I said, I am peeing. And I put the plastic bottle between my legs, and I had no problem peeing. And he goes, you're going home? And I remember him texting my wife, and then he told her, she came in, and he said, you can go ahead and get the car. And what was funny is you kind of left me alone to change my clothes, and I didn't have any problem. I mean, it was fine. I wasn't like dizzy or anything or trying to lose my balance. And I got dressed, and he came in, asked me how I was doing. Fine, and he put me in the chair, and we wheeled down and went to the car, and it was over. My second procedure was done. And because I have the most fantastic wife, she packed a half a sandwich for me and some snacks and a bottle of water, and it felt really good to eat something, because you go so long because you cannot have anything from the midnight before, so you're going that 12 hours, plus it was about 6:30 or 6:45, so I haven't eaten in like eaten or drank anything in 18 hours, and that felt really good. But again, the anesthesia, the first time, like, I had blurred vision, it was groggy, even the drive home. The second procedure, I didn't have that problem. It was pretty, I was pretty alert, didn't feel groggy. We live about 35 miles from DC where the procedure was, and got home. And the whole entire procedure, both procedure number 1 and number 2, have been completed. Didn't have any problem sleeping at night. I didn't need to have anybody escort me and help me to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I was able to get up, go to the bathroom, didn't have any problems. I haven't had any problems. Today is Thursday, so I've had a couple days home. I went to work today. And now, as I've said in my earlier videos, and now we wait again. We wait to see what my PSA number will be in 90 days when we do the blood test. But I've completed my procedures, I've completed my treatment, and I really truly believe that this is going to be good and that the cancer is going to be gone. I hope this has helped you. It gives you an idea of what happens when you get there. I'm going to resume my regular videos. I still want to take everybody through the process from, when you get the news that you have prostate cancer again, all the way from August until April 13th when the second procedure is finally done. So I'll rejoin those videos, I'll start shooting them again. I thank you for your time, and I hope this is helping you, because I didn't know how to do this, and I'm hoping that what I'm doing right now is helping you understand it, so you'll be more comfortable with it. Take care. Thanks again for watching, and God bless you and your families.